Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
welcome back to
oh,
Crypto
oh.
City.
Wait, I need to sit down.
And
Sit
now,
down.
please
Sit down.
welcome to
Please.
the stage your hosts, CityGirl and PixelAddikt.
Welcome, everyone. Hope you all had a
Happy
great holiday.
holidays. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. How was your holiday? Your holiday was good?
Absolutely. Yeah, good time family and definitely less computer time, less, electronics. I try to I try to focus and kind of stay offline. So kind of best of both worlds there and yeah, just good to spend time with family and enjoy the little ones that are like the Santa and all the other things that come with Christmas.
See, I do that, but with my dog. I actually take him to see the Christmas lights. He absolutely loves the lights. So I have pictures of him with his head out the window staring at all the lights as we drive through the neighborhoods and everything. It's really cool.
Nice.
So I just
Nice.
have, children of a different nature. Still works. You all for coming out tonight. I hope you all had a great holiday as well. As we mentioned before tonight, what we're going to do is do a year end recap. This is actually week 11. So we've had 10 weeks of this show. We hope that you've loved it every week that you've come. And for those of you who've watched it on our YouTube channel, just a reminder that it's there and that you can go back and rewatch episodes. If you're not sure how to find us on the socials, if you look up Crypto City VR on Instagram, there's a link tree with all of our social media platforms on there. So you can go check them all out. And tonight we're going to just kind of touch base a little bit, just a high level recap of all the things we've discussed previously on the show.
Yeah, yeah, we've gone through a lot. No, it's been great that, an hour at a time, every week to talk about NFTs and Web3 and, different projects. And we've gone through all the basics, all the crypto and blockchain and be able to kind of bring in different projects and talk and have questions from everybody and able to put slides together. So you've done an amazing job, City, the last few months. I really appreciate all the
Oh,
work you've put into everything.
thank you so much. I mean, I've really enjoyed doing this show. One thing I should mention for any of you who are new is that the reason we started this show initially was because I was hosting an NFT show and I was getting a lot of questions from people after the show, wondering, how can I learn more? I wish I understood more. And I felt like there was a need in here in the community to come on and do more of a teaching show where we could talk to people and share our experiences and learn what other people have interest in so that we could share that with everyone else. So that was
Sure.
kind of the start of the show, and I was lucky enough to get Pixel Addict on board with it, and we kind of put a little team together, and
Yeah.
we ended up with our team. If you see up here on the slides, we have Blue Moon up in the left-hand corner there. Blue is our director of logistics. She's also my ear when I need to run ideas by her and to vent. She's perfect for that. And she's really great at helping me set the show up in advance. Then obviously you have myself and Pixel as your hosts. Then we have Sherwin, who is, the famous Sherwin from Sherwin Productions. He has come on here to help us with the audio visual and also to kind of throw ideas around with us. And then in the middle on the bottom there, we have Evolvin as one of our field experts involved in crypto and investing. And then Miggy Sellis in the bottom right corner. He's our field expert in pretty much all things gaming, Web3, a little bit of
Gaming.
NFTs.
Yeah.
He's well rounded. He knows a little everything. So we've got a great team together and really enjoy working with everyone. So I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you so much for being here and being part of the team to help me put this show together. I appreciate that. And so,
Absolutely.
if you look up here now, you'll see where we were talking about the social media platforms that you can follow us on. or you can always check it out later on YouTube, and you'll have all of our socials there, so you can check it out. Our Discord is a very great. It's a great platform. More people should take advantage of it. If you guys have any ideas of things you would like to see discussed on the show, there's a channel on the Discord that you can enter in any ideas that you have. You can ask us questions after a show if you need more information. Both Pixel and I can respond back to you. We also put up all the slides from the show after the fact on the Discord
Oh,
channel. So you can go there and say, we had something up on the board and you're like, oh, I'd really like to see, this information again. You can go on there and see everything. And it's very helpful, just so that you have, another media source to recap the things that we discuss. Um, Anything you want to touch base on that?
no, Discord's good because you can focus in on different communities. So I'm a part of a lot of different Discord groups, and I got to jump in and out. Right, it's one of those kind of chat things where you go in and check in, see what people are talking about, add a few things. Like it's all depends on how much time you have to kind of be involved in. Because social media takes up a lot of time. So it's posting. You have to
It
post
sure does.
different Instagram groups, and then you're on Facebook and different kind of
Mm,
platforms. So Discord's just a great way, though, for an NFT project or a VR world like this to be able to reach a lot of the users that are coming in, on a weekly basis and give them updates and that. So, yeah, it's great to have like as
absolutely.
part of our social media, and that's the one that I
Mhm.
kind of lean on the most. But I'm very guilty of, not spending enough time in all these groups. People just talk so much, and it's like I
Mhm.
just wanna. I'd love to hang out, man, but I got work to do, and I got you know fun.
Absolutely. I mean, I do jump in and out of all of them mostly to just put up our weekly posts for everybody. But, there are times when, somebody may have sent me a message on Instagram and, the conversation just carries. And sometimes we keep it in IG, sometimes we jump over to email and go back and forth.
Gotcha.
Discord's a nice platform to direct them to as well, because a lot of times the questions you might have, someone else might have the exact same question.
Exactly.
So putting it in the Discord, they're going to see your question, they're going to see our responses, and it's going to stay there so they can always go back and refer to it in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good stuff.
So, getting into the items that we talked about in our previous episodes. If you look on the bottom right hand corner of these slides, I've put on there what episode we talked about some of these things. So, if you have questions and you want to go back to our YouTube channel to rewatch, I will point out that episode 2, unfortunately, is not up there on the YouTube channel. There were some technical difficulties that night. However, all the slides from episode 2, and those were pretty decent slides. Pixel and I had put together a lot of information. So those are in the Discord. So if you're interested, you can check out the slides in the Discord, and you can always ask us any questions. We started with
Sure.
the basics and we said, what is a
Yeah.
blockchain? So, I mean, that was an important foundation for all of the stuff that we do is blockchain.
That's key to all this. That's what kind of powers a lot of these, you know, decentralized applications, a lot of the protocols. And, it's very interesting the last few years to see it evolve. And we've seen, the early days where it's just Bitcoin and then to Ethereum and then all the other kind of ones. And now we're seeing just, the DeFi and the gaming and like it's so many. And now the NFTs have their own kind of blockchains. So even before when NFTs came out, like the crypto kitties, I I could never nobody could foresee just the amount of, work and development and design that went into just obviously the big wave of NFTs in 21. So, 22 was a crazy year, like the crypto up and
Right.
down. We're in a bear market. We've always said, people invest, and the market fluctuates a lot in these digital assets. So, look to projects, look to kind of other things because it seems now the just like the stock market, is kind of in a lull. We're in a sort of
Yep.
recession, I guess, and because of the economic kind of situation. So it's a lot of layers that are all kind of layering up, but crypto in general, Web3 in general, a lot of the blockchain, those strong projects that kind of went through. We've seen some that, failed, but that just means that the market didn't like them or they were bad developers. And you'll see as the years kind of go on which ones power through. And A blockchain will power a lot of these. Big companies are getting in, right? With Visa and all these other ones are all looking into how
Mm.
to have crypto in the middle. So it's a very exciting time over the next few years. We'll see.
It's very interesting to see how many big name brands are jumping in and actually
Uh,
taking it and
every
running
day.
with it. So, blockchain, one of the big things about it is, centralized versus decentralized.
Yeah.
Centralized, as we've talked about before, is, one governing authority over everything, and decentralized, allowing the players to have a say in everything. And a lot of people are enjoying the fact that that is an option for them to be more of a part of what is happening with their money, with their assets, any of that. Like they have more control. And, that's a huge selling point for people to get involved.
Well, yeah, but we also talked about the difference between there is a difference between centralized, decentralized, and then custody and self custody, right? So you're a
Absolutely.
custodial, like who's in charge of your private keys, right? So we talked a lot about that, but also on the blockchain side, some of the blockchains are more decentralized than others, right? Some of them are more centralized because of the nodes. So to look at, when you look at coins, when you look at the tokens themselves, you have to look at how are
Mhm.
they distributed, who got
Yes.
a lot of these tokens, right? So, and what projects are being built on top, and what companies are investing into each project. There's a lot of signals you can see online. I know you're very active in on IG, and you see a lot of the crypto kind of stories, the headlines. We see that that's where the money is flowing, and that's where people are investing in, and those projects will bring in a lot of the Web 2 kind of users. And now, we're working on projects that are easier to bring in people. So it's not so complicated. Like crypto is still hard. I know we've been doing
Yes.
this for a few months now, and crypto's been around for a couple years, but the general public it's still very tech savvy. It's not super
Yes.
easy to acquire the tokens and use them, and where do you use them for what, and the gas. So they're still working out a lot of kinks of how to, streamline and take away the friction. So we've talked about that a lot during the show.
The learning curve is huge. I mean, it's not something people jump into and have a full understanding very quickly. I mean, it's definitely something, that takes some time and effort and research for you to understand, and I won't say to understand fully because I don't think anyone understands all of it 100% because it's ever
Ever.
changing every day.
No. And there's a difference between just normal people buying, whether it's NFTs or crypto, and then brands. And we always talk
Mhm.
about companies coming in and doing things, creators coming in, artists. That's where, our mission, I think, here is educating a lot of these creators on how to utilize NFTs and Web3 to actually make money, to help
Yes.
drive, to help feed your family, to help feed yourself, to help better yourself and get into different career paths that didn't exist, even 2 years ago. So it's exciting. It's new
And if
tech.
you're lucky, maybe some passive income if you're lucky, that's always good
Well,
too.
and it's, we've taught a lot about, how NFTs do that and the mechanisms behind it. So yeah, we're always open to questions from people about, their specific situation. I sell flowers. How can NFTs kind of help me, right? And if you get creative and you learn the tech side, you're just unlimited. Your unlimited kind of, potential can kind of go crazy.
Sure. And we're looking at Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. I mean, right now, Web 1, those of you, from the past, like Web 1, AOL, it was just, more of informational websites, that basically static information websites. And then everything kind of switched over to more of a social platform for interacting. You've got your Facebook, you had MySpace, you had things where there was interaction, But it was a huge step up, but it's still fairly limited. And now the step to Web 3 is in progress, and we're looking at some incredible things coming down the pike. But right now, there's slow steps getting in there, and some people are fully immersed in working on this stuff, but people are excited about it, and that I think is a big deal. I mean, not everybody is doing it, not everybody understands it, but people are excited about it. So that's that I think the more you can generate enthusiasm, the more people you draw into you, the more people will be interested and want to do more with it.
Exactly. Yeah, no, see, the problem is that these platforms, they're going to take years to kind of build.
Mm,
And rightfully so, because the Web 2 platforms, like think of Amazon and AWS and like all of these big, Facebook and Google, these are behemoth, these are infrastructures that you can't just do in Web 3. You can't just spin up, I guess, Ethereum is basically, a Web 3 kind of technology. And it takes a lot of infrastructure, a lot of planning, and a lot of like scaling when it comes to, how you develop these platforms. So the Web3 platforms are starting to grow, right? ENS and other domain platforms. Uniswap. Uniswap is
mm,
where you can trade any token for any token. And they'll find liquidity pools to kind of do your trades. And so it's pretty cool. It's a very unique, but it's an application. So it's a running on Web3 and it's scaled, crazy. But it's seeing in the future, being able to kind of look at Web 2, look at all the different ways and how you can add blockchain, add NFTs so that you can have ownership over the assets and people in the creator economy can make money, right? So artists will make money and then maybe the users because we'll actually own the data. We'll own the skin or the accessory or the different kind of in the gaming. That's important now for us to own finally all these tokens and kind of make some
mm.
money from if you're investing all this money into these games like Miggy says, you could tell he's passionate, so he gets upset where he's like, everyone's spending thousands of dollars, and Epic Games is laughing, and they make all the money, and if my
Right.
account gets banned, you're screwed. You lost all that time and money,
You
and
lost everything. Yeah.
yeah, so there's ways and mechanism designs are kind of really getting into really cool spaces over the next few years, like you said.
Well, and you mentioned NFTs, and of course, that's like the thing that most people are most familiar with are NFTs out of all of it right now because it's so widespread as to the different ways that NFTs can be used. And we've done a bunch of episodes on NFTs in general. We've talked about art NFTs, music NFTs, wearables, games, and all the different things. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the more all encompassing of all the topics. But then you also have, the utility behind it so that there's a lot you can do with NFTs, but NFTs are also something that pretty much anyone can get involved in if you want to put a little effort, time, and money into it. Anybody can get involved. So it's not really like you need to be this high end tech to be involved in NFTs, whereas a little different than like creating worlds where people need to actually learn software.
right,
You can pretty much
right.
create an NFT if you put a little bit of effort into learning the process, which is pretty
Well,
great for bringing people in.
for sure, for sure. Like, it's Photoshop, right? Like if you do digital art, so if you do physical art where you're only painting, obviously you're going to learn a way to digitize that art, and now you have a way to monetize those digital art where it's unique. Before it was like I could make a painting, I could make a digital in Photoshop, I could send it to you, and sure, I could sell maybe copies, and that'd be great.
Mhm.
But it wasn't unique. It wasn't like one person owned that digital
Yep.
art. And it wasn't until blockchain and kind of that NFTs and the tokens that they created on it, where it was no, there's only going to be one owner of artists like, hey, I can draw and now I can, and it's all about the royalties. Once I heard about the royalties, that all these
Right?
artists were gonna
The
make
game
money,
changer.
if it was selling after selling and all the way for
Mm.
years. Because some of those, Van Gogh and all the families that sold for years, and all imagine all the estates, the kids, nothing. Like
right? That once
So
it's gone, it's gone. Exactly. Oh, and it's funny because you think of like away from NFTs, if you think for a moment, back to when bands like Metallica were banning people from their music because they didn't like that they
Napster,
weren't getting
yeah,
the royalties back and everything. Now that problem would be solved. I mean,
right.
it's just it's a great way for artists of all mediums to be able to control their work.
Well, and people don't really like. I guess a lot of people in the mainstream, they don't understand the importance of the actual blockchain because it was the first time that instead of sending digital assets, I could send you a song. The thing with Metallica is that enabled the digital distribution of assets, like a
Hmm.
copy of some kind of file, whether it was a JPEG or an MP3. Once it was an MP3, like they didn't have that tech back then. So money was
Right.
like the most everyone was trying to do digital money. Like why wouldn't you? You're like you're selling music and copying music. Well, let's copy money, and that's where it could never the government wouldn't allow it. There was all these other you can't just make a token. So it's allowed so that it's secure, right? It's
Sure.
backed by cryptography. And the music industry now, when they sell music NFTs, you know how many files are going to be out there. Now you can't stop piracy. You can't stop, even if I have the NFT, you can't stop me from recording it off of my phone, other ways of hacking kind of that.
Mhm.
But knowing that you have that NFT for maybe like the meet and greet, you have the NFT for like you can prove to the group, to the band, to the world that you own that NFT, and that's kind of
Yep.
where it changes.
It's all yours. So that brings us to, us talking about on our next episode, we talked about community involvement. Because, we talk about, we have Miggy and Evolve and out in the field who are doing things and kind of come back and give us some information on how things are going and what's trending and all that. But we also had
Right,
Meta Day on, and, we've also talked to some of the people here in our audience about how Web3 and NFTs are affecting their lives and how they're incorporating them in the work that they're doing, whether or not they are full fledged in here, monetizing like an artsy who's in here and building worlds all day long, and that's just what
right,
she does, and that is her job, or people who are doing it on the side, or maybe coming in here hosting events, or putting together an NFT and selling them online. So community involvement is a big deal because like I just said, getting people enthusiastic and excited about it is how this is going to grow to, continue to grow basically. But, community involvement actually, is not just all of the stuff that we're talking about in here. There's a second side to the community involvement, and that's actually, people playing the games, people who are utilizing this stuff. I mean, we talk about world builders and hosts and everything, but games like AltSpace and VR Chat and Horizon, Decentraland, all these things that people are in there, the builders need the visitors. It's
right.
symbiotic. You need each other. We're in here and we're hosting this show. If we didn't have an audience, why host the show? You need both sides of it. So the world builders need the world hoppers. The
Yep.
VR chat developers who are making all these games need people to come in there and play the games. Otherwise, why do it? It doesn't make any sense. So, the community involvement is really important for the growth and for the continued um ideas. Like it when I came in here and there was only a handful of world builders. Then all of a
Right.
sudden the new wave came in and they're all like, I can do this, I can do this, I want to do this. Now everybody's a world builder, and it's like it's interesting to see how, I'm looking at this and saying, I love this, but what if we did that? Now I got to go learn how to do
Right.
that so I can bring that to the masses. Like that's
Right.
pretty impressive and it's exciting, to see people get involved and want to do bigger and better things.
Yeah, that's why I like having all the guests we've had. Having Metadai,
Mm.
talk about her experience and talk about the one we had, Spirit, where she came and talked about the music and creating music and getting involved with the tech, and learning, and teaching herself all these different things. Like I love hearing, success stories or even just launch stories. Doesn't have to be success. It's, you actually
Yep.
executed, you learned the tech, you took what you're passionate about, whether it was art or music, whatever, and you brought your gaming and you brought it into, more tech, and now part of your brand is you have these NFTs, or you have, these communities, and you're build a community around it. You're going to feel good if all of a sudden you have 20 people on your list, and then it's 100, and then it grows your email list or your wallet count, right? I think later on in the next couple of years, it's going to be, how many wallets do you own? How many wallets
Mm,
does your brand? It's not about owning the wallets. It's about the reach, right? Because with
yes,
Web 2, like Mark Zuckerberg and Google and all these, they don't give us enough access. If you have a million followers on Instagram, when you send out, they're not giving it to a million people. It's only going to
right.
10%, 7%, some say. So it'll be exciting in Web3 now when we have, when you send out, instead of an email blast, you send to 100,000 people that reach that. Maybe they don't all open it, but if you have wallets and you do an airdrop, I'm excited. I'm so excited next year. Like, I think we could, could get, a million wallets. I think I could touch a million wallets with all the projects I'm
Amazing.
going to be involved with, and all of the, free wallets, open them up, get them sorted, and it's gonna be exciting, so
The
we'll see.
possibilities are they're huge, and it is exciting. I agree with you. I'm excited to see what things happen. It's
And brands are just
quick.
learning, right? We talk about,
Mm,
we're just learning, and we're learning how to integrate it all. Well, a lot of companies have no clue. They really don't. They see the metaverse and they see VR and crypto, and they just, it's too much for them. And they heard Bitcoin on TV, and to them, they don't think their company is gonna have value behind it. So it's up to, guys like me, and kind of, people and developers and designers and creators kind of all this space to change their minds.
agree. And when you said earlier, it's not just about the success stories, it's about the journey to get there.
Sure.
And that's what's so great. Like, I can't wait to have more people on as guests to tell us, this is what I do, but this is what I overcame to get to where I am. This is how I learned it. Their journey is important because that shows you that you could do it too. And that, it's not going to be a walk in the park every time. There are going to be times where there's challenges along the way, but you have a
Yeah.
way to overcome some of these challenges by, you know this is these are the resources that you go to get yourself
Right.
help to move forward and continue on with your project and reach your goal at the end of it.
Well, and it's not only the artists themselves doing the NFT projects. We've been talking, and as a follower, like if you like that kind of art and you like that NFT, like that Clone X project or something, if you invest and you actually have these NFTs, you can create for the whole community. You can, like, you like different hair extensions and you like different colors and different cool accessories, building those on top of an already project and an NFT project that already exists, building, that to me, that's so exciting. Gives a great opportunity for you to be creative, and you can sell your assets to the whole community. Imagine
For sure. Yeah.
10,000 owners, right? Like, sometimes there's that's a lot of people. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And you talk about NFTs. I mean, there's so many types of NFTs and so many
Oh,
things
so
you can
many.
do with NFTs. It's not limited by any means. I mean, when we're talking about works of art, I mean, if you're an artist and you've created stuff, you could have a one beautiful piece that you have out there that, some lucky person's going to get one, or that you could have variations of it out there where, these people who go out there and they create, let's say it's a dog and they do it in 500 different colors and variations with the
Generative.
different.
Yep.
Some people love the generative art, and that's great. Because they feel like they're a community because 500 of us have this and that's it. And that's kind of cool. So it depends on what you're into, because collectors, you know it really doesn't matter what you collect if you like it. There's value in that. I mean, there are things that I collect in real life. I actually have a pretty decent glass skull collection. Don't judge.
Sure.
Um, and I used to have gargoyles and things like that. And I would search till I found the exact one that I wanted, and then I would buy
Right.
that. And there was this rush from buying that and bringing it home and having it part of my collection. Well, this is the same
Sure.
kind of thing. If you are a collector, there are different types of art out there. There are different types of NFTs that you can be part of. Some people love the pixels. Some people love,
Yeah.
the bored apes. Whatever it is that you're into, you're that's okay. You're collecting what
Yours
you
are. Yeah.
love,
I love
and
that.
so
No, that's
it's kind of cool.
it's a great explanation. No, I love that. That's perfect because, like you said, like people like different types of stuff, and now you can lurk on your phone and find that art. Then you could download that art, like get that NFT, and then display it in your physical house, right? Display it on your
Yes.
big. People have like big TVs that they're using as art displays now, and I think that's cool. But I think too, having these virtual worlds and importing your NFTs into your cool mansion, I think that's
Mhm.
kind of cool too. So I like the 3D art, actual the sculptures and that.
Yes.
So
Love
I
it.
saw a video once where guy was he was like recording in his little VR kind of world. He's like, "Look, I got that NFT there and this one here," and he was showing off all his NFTs. And I'm telling you, my mind, you know me, City, and like my mind was like, I started shaking my head, like it blew me away. It was the first time where I'm like, "You're showing off the shit that you have in the metaverse." Like, okay,
Right?
now this is where it's going. All right, like,
Amazing. I
uh,
love it. I
oh,
absolutely love it. And I love that you get excited about it. I love that somebody's excited about enough to share it with everybody.
oh, I'll send that stuff to Stover, and I'll be like, "Hey, check this out, look here," and we'll get into a big DM conversation about the whole thing, and then he's like, "How do they do?" I'm like, "How do they?" Because we're all figuring out, there's layers to the game, right? And it's Unreal Engine, and it's real time, and it's motion capture, and it's VTubing, and so there's layers. Even doing AltSpace like this, recording with the MREs, and so there's
Hmm.
all the development side of getting that stuff to work. But when it does, crazy. Like, can't wait to
Right.
give NFTs to fans, for Naughty by Nature, Run DMC, and give them all these NFTs that they get for buying merch or buying stuff online. We're gonna do a vinyl, like a Naughty by Nature vinyl. You get a digital twin of the vinyl. Like,
That's
that's great.
amazing. Oh,
Oh,
that's
it's so
so cool.
fun. Yeah, Vinny's
Right?
super excited and can't wait to
That's
show everybody and
exciting.
give everybody access next year. It's gonna be nuts. Like selling
Wow.
cassettes, and I'm
2023
like,
is going to bring big things.
oh, we're pumped. We're actually, yeah, we put a lot of work in the last couple of years and just Web3, right? And metaverse and NFTs. So we waited on NFTs though. We didn't launch a whole bunch, 10,000 collections and we didn't
Right.
because Vin couldn't see there has to be value, there has to be utility. So we've been
Hmm.
preaching, for a year now is that has to be for fans. It can't just be a piece of art. Even though it's great for artists, when you're like whether it's hip hop or country or rock, it doesn't matter. If you're a singer and you're putting out these NFT, they have to have some value to your brand, to your
Absolutely.
store, to something. So figuring that out was important, and now that we have, it's pretty exciting to see what we'll put together. So
Can't wait to see what you guys bring up. And then
sure, for sure.
we had Miggy on talking about what's trending. And, he goes to
So
all the
cool.
conferences and he goes to these expositions and he comes, he gets out there and he speaks about gaming and he speaks about, other than gaming, he does a lot of Web3 talks and stuff. He actually
Yep.
just did a Web3 women conference just recently, like women in Web3, because this isn't a necessarily a gender specific, art
Nope.
form. Like anybody can be doing this, and it just requires effort, time, and dedication. But he goes up hot right now. He came back and told
Right.
us, that right now the biggest area is gaming. And it's not just, like playing a game, it's the NFTs in the gaming that's a big deal right now. People are really
Right.
into playing their games and leveling up and doing all this stuff.
Yep.
And, he came back to report on that to us. But I also know since then he's been back out and been to a few more conferences, which is pretty cool. So he's out there getting us stuff. We're gonna have lots of stuff in the future for him to come back and report to us
Yep.
on. It's really cool though. I enjoy seeing what he has to bring to the table and what he finds to be, the uh, the next best thing, you know, because he's been doing this for a while. He's been in this for a
Yeah.
couple of years, and he's seen the good, the bad, the ugly. He knows, like
We
we
all
talking
have.
about a
Yep.
bear market.
Sure.
He's seen it go up and down. His nickname is Miggy Crypto. So he's seen some good and some bad. He's been
Yeah.
around, and it's interesting to see what is going on in the world. They had big NFT conference back in New York earlier this year. And there was so many people who showed up for this conference that the people were lined through the streets up and around for 4 miles. Like, that's
Awesome.
insane. People were waiting for hours to get inside. Well, people don't just do that if it's a passing fad. I mean, that's huge. People were in there so that they could learn more, and it was an educational conference along with a sharing. There were artists showing their stuff, but it was also lots of forums, lots of talk,
For
people
sure.
coming in to sit down and learn. And, and,
Look.
and that's great. And
Yeah,
then Art Basel that just happened down in Miami, they had a Bit Basel part of it. You know what I mean?
they
So that
did.
was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, look, I've been in the industry for, 25 plus years now. So like the tech waves that come and different people introduce new things all the time. It's always cutting edge is always the developers, right? And the like first come, Apple guys, right? People and girls that are like on the cutting edge of technology, they'll use it and
Mhm.
then it'll slowly get into more mainstream and such. It's nice that Miggy can be on the edge of these gaming NFTs and show us different projects are actually moving in that direction. So it's the
Right.
value, and like you said, the value only comes from the market, right? So like people can say, "Oh, we don't like NFTs." Well, that's you and your kind of. You can have opinions with a whole bunch, but for- NFTs are permissionless. Just like
Mhm.
websites, and just like you don't need to ask permission to launch an NFT project, to do anything like that. So a lot of brands and artists are now using the cutting edge stuff to kind of stay ahead. We see now the younger generation, they're not like they don't they're not waiting. Nobody's waiting anymore. It's like waiting to get on social media. You remember where there's people like, I'm not doing it. I'm
Oh
not going
no,
on
I'll wait
that.
and see
Okay,
where this
well,
goes. Yeah.
and you just can't. And now they see with the NFTs and that, like, yeah, maybe
Yep.
it's not for you now. But when it starts to get more popular, where it's a subscription service and it's a
Hmm.
membership to your restaurant, you're gonna say, "Oh, I can start getting creative," and it's the grandson, right? It's the
Yep.
second generation. It'll be his nephew that comes in and says, "Hey, maybe we should have a golden ticket for
Right.
meatballs, unlimited meatballs," and do that. Be fun.
Great accent.
Sure.
Well,
But that
we
brings
talked
brings
about
us into
utility
utility.
earlier. Yep.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
and this is the most important part of pretty much all of NFT is what you can do with it. It's definitely, what can we do with these NFTs to bring people back, to give them something more, to help them, generate some sort of a return for the NFT, and a lot of times it's, giving people, whether it's like access to something special by having this NFT, but other
Yeah.
times it's, we might give when I say something special, I mean like maybe they'll get like an extra track if it's a music NFT, or maybe they get a VIP pass to a concert, or if it's a
Yeah.
piece of artwork, maybe it comes with a physical as well as just the digital. But, there's other things that people are doing for utility too, like you talked about whitelisting, getting
Yep.
yourself in the know before other people do. There's, games that play to earn, whether it's, you're upping your weaponry, your clothing, your wearables, all of those kinds of things as well, getting secret levels within a game that you can only get to if you've earned this. So, I mean, there's a lot of different utility out there, and people are starting to use, they're starting to use NFTs more frequently. So, but there a lot of people are not just willy-nilly throwing NFTs into things. They're building utility into it right at the time so that it is already valuable right out of the gate.
Yeah, so to give a little history of kind of that, even a couple of years ago, like when you would put out an NFT project and you would do that, unlockables is what you're talking about. Like you could add extra files or everything, and that would be a like a level one utility. The first ones
Mhm.
to do it were like could tell on your phone. What's happened in the past year is that a lot of other companies and services have come up in the middle to build platforms that allow you as an NFT holder to create whether it's a token gate, whether it's a access pass. Like to be
Mhm.
honest, I'll be straight honest. That kind of stuff, it's harder. It's more technical. So like as an NFT creator, you have to like Google these things, find on YouTube, find these platforms that allow you and help you to launch the contracts. Because the contracts, putting them out on the blockchain, that's easy. But it's what's written in them. So if you're
Mhm.
not a developer, if you're not a coder, it's better to have these in between platforms that at least can help you put the right words in the code so that
Yep.
you know what I mean, you can use it the right way. It'll say like why do you want this NFT? What do you want it to do? So those platforms are starting to come up a lot easier, and I'm glad because now it's easier for because before, even if you were tech savvy, you start building a token gate, like how do you do it for free? How do you get them to connect their wallet and authenticate different that's not easy. That's
Right, right.
and you don't want to start coding that yourself. You'd rather have somebody
If you
already
make a
did it and
mistake, yeah.
well, it's that, but yeah, you're right when it comes down to the code. Like imagine you make a mistake and then somebody can mint, 400
Mhm.
of your NFTs and you're like, "Oh shit." You're
Right.
like, "Oh, you didn't limit it to one and you didn't put
Right,
in
right.
this line of code that that
Mhm.
figures out because people will mint it on your website, they'll mint it on the contract, they'll go on OpenSea and do it. Like there's Web3 is
Mhm.
different where it's all blockchain. You can't control sometimes what things happen, what other people do. Once you put it out publicly, you put that contract live. It better be good because it's immutable. We say that all the time, right?
Yep.
Everything's immutable. Well, there's a
Yep.
reason for
And it
that.
has to be good out of the gate. I mean, if you want to think of it like in a different term, if you're not like fully understanding, think about it in real life. If you have a contract between you and a person that is going to be legally binding, it's a little
Yeah.
different, but along those terms, my point is that you wouldn't write up that contract yourself. You would
No,
hire a lawyer to put
a
this
lawyer.
contract together or an arbitrator to put the contract together. So
Good point.
because you don't know all the legal terminology to put in there to cover yourself, and you might not think of, okay, I'm going to say you're not allowed to do this, but I forgot about this over here, and that's a loophole, and people will have issues.
Yeah.
So it's similar in as much as the wording has to be precise as to how you want it to function, or someone's going to find loophole.
It's not even that city that like I've been in like the NFT like underworld, right? Where like the hackers like so when a project comes out, right? It's 10,000 NFTs. It's so valuable that the guys will figure out how to inject different code into the
Mm,
contract to be able to mint like and the guy that wrote the contract, he's like, "What are you doing?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm going to bribe the guy, the miner that is processing the NFT transaction. I'm gonna bribe him with $50,000 digitally, like without him knowing. It's not I called him up and did it. It's just I
yeah.
did it on the blockchain. I sent him money, and he doesn't know who I am, but he processed my NFT first, my transaction. It just happens to be that I got the best ones because you didn't hide the metadata 3 minutes
Yep.
before you put it live. Like little things like that, and so projects get really you have to do your due diligence. Like you said, you have to
Mhm.
do the lawyer thing. You have to, especially on bigger projects, that because it's immutable. You have to
Yep.
understand you don't have control, but you can do things like, hey, you only have 500 NFTs, right? Like do you don't have to
Yep.
have a big, huge project with worth lots of money to start. A smaller one, the utility, give it to
Better
people, and
control. Mhm.
absolutely. Or like the next topic is like have an event and give these NFTs to your community.
Mm,
Give it free. If you show up to the event, you get this NFT. You get the POAP.
absolutely. So POAPs, we did a show on. We actually did a live demo. So that's a good one for you to go back and watch the video on YouTube for because you can actually see how to create them. It's basically just giving you a proof of attendance that you were at something, but it's a collectible little badge. It's basically like the same as your concert ticket stub, or when you go to if you go to a meeting and you have to check in and basically it's like giving you proof that you were there. But it's also something kind of cool that you can save. And if you're doing POAPs, they can go into your digital wallet if you want to. If not, you can see them on your smartphone. And we issue one after every episode of this show for anybody who's interested. They just need to DM us and say, I want a copy of the POAP. We issue it to you. And you can actually, once you claim it, you can view it on your smartphone. And they're always little round badges. It just usually has the name and the date and what the event was with some sort of a graphical image.
Yep,
So
people are
that's an
using them.
easy little NFT.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you explain the whole process. If you go back on YouTube and check out City's kind of that episode, she explains exactly how to whole process. And a lot of brands are using them now for events, and you see it in the mainstream media. Like it's not just then the like it'll be the Wire or something, or like all those magazines, and they'll actually put poap.xyz, and kind of
Yep.
promote kind of the platform and the protocol, and it's its own protocol. Like you said, it's its own company that'll manage the events and make sure that these digital assets are properly distributed and minted. So it's great to see.
Yep, absolutely. And then we have music NFTs. We had Mystic Spirit come on, and she talked about her
Okay.
process of doing the music NFTs. Her daughter, she was actually created the music NFT for her daughter, and then launched it the following Monday. And they had like a little launch party, and it went up, and it was live on OpenSea for people to start, minting it, claiming it. So, it was really neat. And I'll tell you, not for nothing, but it was actually really great to listen to her daughter sing and do the little
It was.
performance for us so we could hear it. And then she's actually going to be doing more things here in the metaverse next month. So,
Nice.
there's a little cross platform there. She's doing this in real life. She's doing it here in the metaverse, which is pretty nice.
Absolutely. Learning on your own. And, she said it was she's not very technical to start, but she went on YouTube and she learned all the process and she was in Twitter Spaces. She was going in
Right?
all these different events and forums. And I'm like, good for you. Ask all the questions you want. Because guys like, girls and guys like me that are in like tech, if you show that you have a willingness to learn, you show that you've learned these things, and here's what I learned, and here's what I'm gonna learn, will help you so much more than just, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? Have you Googled that? Like you gotta
Hmm.
you gotta come correct. You gotta make sure that done your research and done your little bit of work first, and then people will help you so much in the community. It was amazing to hear her
And I
story
actually
and
started following her. She was pushing a lot through Twitter Space. I mean, she really was doing the work. She put the
stuff.
legwork out there to get people to know that this was happening.
Right on.
And, let's see. Then we moved on to gaming NFTs. We had Miggy came back and he talked to us about his current project that he's working on, Altera. So that was kind of cool. I mean, he's very active in the gaming community in general, but he talked to us about, the different games that have come out with some pretty decent NFT built into the games. The one that he's doing right now, it's going to still be a couple of years before it comes out, but they're actually having, to hype it up before it comes out. They're actually having these little I guess you could call them little online parties in advance where you can go on and actually play in a little like prequel of the game so that you can get to see what it's like. And then when it finally comes out, it's got, he's excited about that because there is going to be some NFT utility built into the back end of it.
He's not the type of guy that'll get like impressed by a development or a game studio that isn't really doing it right. No, he seems like, he's gonna have the check marks, he's gonna go through, and if he's gonna team up and actually help your company do the marketing and Web3 and that,
Mhm.
consulting and that, I thought that was so impressive. And he's like, but I can tell that company is taking their time. They're actually developing strategy. We asked him the hard questions, right? And so he very open and transparent about what they're doing, and it's exciting to follow the journey of a small independent game company, working with Web3 guys and learning kind of how this all works and being able to put it out.
Definitely. I'm excited to have him come back next year and show us some of the
Sure.
new games and stuff that come out. Um, we're probably going to do a couple episodes with him where we actually put some live gaming up on the screen so that people can see
Okay.
what we're talking about,
Yeah,
and actually, have him show us some of this on the back end. It would be great to be able to see some of that.
awesome. Yeah. We can do a full demo. Like, it's kind of weird because like we only do an hour every week, and we always joke in the back end that, oh, geez, do this for hours and hours, and like there's so much
Absolutely.
content and so many projects that we can talk about, and so many different people to have on that. Oh, we'll just keep going every week, but we're definitely filling in all the content.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the last week was our final week. We had last week was cryptocurrency basics, and we kind of talked a little bit about crypto and what it's like for buying it online through an exchange, where you should store it in your wallet. We talked a little bit about security and risks. I mean, obviously, it's the riskiest of most of the stuff that you're going to see on here. But it's really no different than I mean, not that it's no different, but it's along the same lines of we talked about you keep your current money in your wallet. You wouldn't just leave it out on the table for someone to take. You want to have security for your wallet, but in your wallet you can also have your NFTs in your wallet. You can have any of your digital assets, like protected. You don't want to give out your key to your key to anybody else. That's yours. It's your private key. You keep that secure. You also want to keep a copy of it somewhere that, God forbid, you lose your original, you have access to get back to your assets. So we talked about a little bit of all of that, and we talked very vaguely on investing because we're not financial advisors, but we did talk about how the different ways you can invest, either by purchasing coin, or you could also invest in some of the supporting, like ETFs
Companies.
and things like that, or in companies that actually like fund and work with
Building.
crypto. So there's different ways to be involved on that, and we talked about those. But we'll definitely have more episodes where we talk about crypto in general, and hopefully Evolve and will end up coming on soon to do a little episode with us. Anybody in here who knows him, he's a good person to go to for some advice because he's been doing it for a while. Definitely
Right.
actively involved in investing, but also a good person to talk to about just methodology behind all of it as well. He likes to teach people as well.
Yeah, there's some people that the Web3 ethos and just in general are a lot deeper. I'm more on the
Mhm.
developer side. I'm more on the building applications and kind of integrating kind of stuff. And some people are more on the currency side and the investing side. And I think it's good that we have views from all the different facets of kind of Web3 and put it all together. And have artists and creators, we have gaming and all your insights and mine as well. And I think it's a good potluck of kind of content that we
Mhm.
try and teach at a more of a mid level, right? We're teaching some basics, gonna get a little bit deeper. I do get some terms and deeper, but I like explaining things so that we're not just covering all the new latest tech. It's like, let's go back to
Absolutely.
basics and let's build it up so that we can talk about projects where we all learn about the different projects and how to. Maybe next year we'll show some projects that we can all kind of get involved with. Maybe there's NFTs where we can all kind of go and check out together and go in Discord and kind of see what different projects are doing and find some cool ones that we can share with everyone and we buy some NFTs and kind of give them to our attendees, right?
Super exciting. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm looking forward to next year. I'm looking forward to, all the new stuff that we're going to bring forward and the people that we're going to have on. Next week, We're going to start off the new year with some augmented reality, try to explain that a little bit to the audience,
Perfect.
and talk about some of the stuff that you've done in it so that we can kind of get, some insight there. But for any of you who have missed any of our episodes or want to go back and rewatch any of the stuff that we just talked about here, you can go to our YouTube channel and there's a playlist there of all the previous episodes. The slides from tonight's show, those will end up being on our Discord. So if you're not sure what episode we talked about a certain topic, like I said, down in the bottom corner, it will have it, and you'll be able to know that this is what we talked about. So definitely looking forward to next year. Excited to talk more topics with you, Pixel. It's been great. I appreciate that we've done this venture together and can't wait to bring more to the audience. And I can't wait for all of you to come back and see more of our shows.
Oh, I feel the same. It's been amazing, great content, and I like talking about all this stuff. So you got me out of my comfort zone. Every Monday night I'm booked now, so it's great that we can bring in friends from the metaverse and beyond, right? Like I think next year we talked about different content, and maybe not so like crypto kind of focus, and it's more Web3 and more because we love the NFTs and we love the utility
Mhm.
of the Web3. So, well, the currency itself and kind of tokens themselves are great, but I think there's so much more projects and so much more opportunity for us to get involved and teach, people how to take their passion, right? If you're into gardening, how does that apply to this? If you write books, right? We've had friends that write stories and that. How does that apply? So it's finding
Yes,
projects and finding ways that they can have value. We can add so much value that they can say, hey, because I came on your show, because I watched your content, I now created this I learned this and now I'm making this money. That would make our hearts melt, right? Like that would feel
absolutely.
better. That would feel better than just doing a show just to kind of get popular. I really want to help people and tell them to
This is
learn kind
about
of this
teaching.
Web3
This is my
for
passion was
sure.
to help others learn more. So that was
Same,
the whole purpose of the show. So if one
same,
person learns something and runs with it, I'm going to be ecstatic. I would
for
love
sure,
to
for
see
sure.
someone, get to a point where their project is helped and move forward because of what we're sharing. That
Well,
would
I
be
think
great.
that should be a focus next year, and we'll find someone that we trust that's been a supporter. We'll have them come up, and we'll really help them and show everyone in the audience that let him have an update or her have an update every week. Oh, okay, I did what you said, and we should all talk about it. We should all support
Yes.
this person and and
Love
buy
it.
their NFTs. And everybody has a little bit of money, so I think if someone has a good project, we'll support them next year, and we'll kind of grow with them a little bit. I think it'll be fun
Love it. Great idea.
stuff. Well,
Thank
thanks for
you to
coming,
all of you
everybody.
for coming with us every week. We love it. This journey's been great, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, City. Thanks,
And
everyone.
happy New Year.
Happy holidays. Absolutely. Thanks,
Another good
Blue.
one under the belt. Yeah, no worries, no
Yeah.
worries.